Good evening. I am Mayor Pro Tem Wood, and I am calling this regular meeting of the University Place City Council for Monday, February 3rd, 2025 to order. City Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Boykin.
Here.
Councilmember Worthington.
Present.
Councilmember McCluskey. I'm here. Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Grassi.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Present.
Mayor Figueroa is excused. Mayor Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Would Councilmember Grassi please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, please join me in. Pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any objections to approving the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. And now we have a presentation from our new Pierce County Council member, Councilmember Rosie Ayala from District 4. If you could please come up and join us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, members of the University Place City Council. I am so honored to be here. My name is Rosie Ayala, your newest Pierce County Council member, representing the city of University Place. And I know whenever there are new faces in any space, it is important to make those intentional efforts to reach out to the individuals that one represents. And we also know, with you being an incorporated city, there are some fine lines that we as the county need to take into consideration as we move forward. I really come to you not necessarily with the presentation, but really to share a bit about myself and make an invitation to have some one-on-one time with you all. I come from the nonprofit space in which we can never get anything done unless we are partnering with one another, and it's a philosophy that I carry with me in everything that I do. Before I get started, I do want to point out Sabrina, who is my lovely assistant, and which I would not be able to be as organized as I am. So I do believe it takes more than myself to make things happen, and she is a very critical partner in all of that. With that being said, I do want to share some of the priorities that I come forward within the Pierce County Council really stem from what I learned in my doorbelling season last year, of which I doorbelled UP ferociously. And there's so many members, so many residents that I met, and I got to learn their stories. And so as I have my conversations with you, there are things that I will highlight as I promised these individuals that I would do so. Along with that, I also want to share some of the committees that I have been appointed to, through which, whether I am chairing or just a member, there might be some aligning efforts with UP. And if anything that I say piques your interest, please let me know, and then we could definitely bring that forward as we start our committee meetings. So I'll begin with Community Development and Environment Committee, the Economic and Infrastructure Development Committee, Health and Human Services, of which I am vice chairing, also vice chairing Economic and Infrastructure Development Committee. My external boards, commissions, committees, and other organizations include the Economic Development Board, the Executive Board of Economic Development Corporation, the Joint Determining Board, the Joint Municipal Action Committee, the Puget Sound Regional Council Transportation Policy Board, Tacoma Arts Live Board of Trustees, Performance Audit Committee, Pierce County Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors, Pierce County Regional Council, Public Facilities District Board of Directors, Transportation Board Benefit District, Workforce Central, and the Zoo Trek Authority, which is also a partnership with now Parks Tacoma, recently renamed, and of which I was a commissioner prior to joining the Pierce County Council. With that, I'm more than happy to take any questions, but I definitely do want to extend the offer to meet one-on-one for more, some relationship building, really. It doesn't need to be business, but I do want to get to know everyone within District 4.
Well, thank you. Are there any questions for Councilmember Ayala? Stan? I'm sorry, Councilmember Fleming?
That's okay. Councilman Ayala, I just want to say welcome to University Place. Welcome to our chamber. You know, I've been in your chamber, so we're glad you're here. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Grassi?
Thank you. I, again, want to echo Councilmember Fleming's welcome, and thank you so much for being here tonight, taking the time. And to your wonderful partner, thank you for making, it does take a village. And I love what you say about partnering, because I, for one, believe that firmly, and we look forward to partnering with you to serve our citizens better. I thought you mentioned maybe that you had some maybe top things that you heard outdoor belling in our community. Would you be willing to share a couple of those that you've gathered in your time? It's always interesting what we learn when we're doorbelling.
Absolutely. I'll share just the top 3 that come to mind, not necessarily order of importance. But I've heard comments around safety in road infrastructure. This is more in the residential neighborhood areas. Concerns around cars speeding through their neighborhood, and safeties around accessibility to sidewalks, and you know, especially when it gets dark in the early evening.
Yeah. That
many folks shared that. There were other concerns around, I don't think this is a University Place topic, but I think it's something that we can partner and align with in the state, around single parents and what it looks like to do custody support or any kind of financial support for individuals that have minors the majority of the time. Another thing that I ran into was just what the growth looks like and the rate of growth. I know there are concerns around the school primarily, and just making sure that schools are taken care of in the process of the city growing.
Okay, thank you so much. Look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? I'm going to presume you can hear me, but I think I'm having a mic issue.
In the meantime,
A dramatic pause is always good.
Yes.
Councilmember Ayala, I just wanted to make sure
I have to
that
shut everyone down.
you got a welcome from me personally, because I'm excited to have you serve and appreciate that you take the time to meet with us. In the spirit of what you want to make sure you do is relationship build, can you tell me what's most fun for you in your time away from taking care of?
Ooh, my time away from taking care of District 4. I love that question. That's usually my question out. I enjoy the outdoors so very much, and I dutifully take advantage of the outdoors in University Place. I have family that lives here, and so we enjoy walking the area, walking chambers. Walking the dog around the neighborhood is just as nice. I am a frequent flyer of American Lake during summers. Love to paddleboard the local lakes. I think the Pacific Northwest is just such a beautiful area, and definitely want to take some intentional effort to surface how nature can help mental health, our physical health, and our overall stress levels, because we know life is difficult and challenging for many reasons, and we are privileged to live in a space that allows us to disconnect.
Thank you so much for that. If you happen to get around to a jewel, I believe, Chambers Bay would be more than happy to have a walk with you and continue that conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you. So the only comment sorry, Councilmember McCluskey, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I would encourage everyone to meet with our new county council member. She is a delight to get to know, and it's always interesting in the partnership to understand her passions and focus and reasons why she decided to run for office. She certainly has a servant leadership heart, and I'm excited that she's in the position she is in, and I hope that once she knows individually our council, she would see collectively who we are and the best path forward. So congratulations, and I look forward to working with you and Sabrina in the near future.
Thank you so very much. And I do want to say, in the effort to get to know people, Sabrina and I are currently coordinating ways for us to get to know residents of University Place. So we're hoping to at least do council coffees twice a year here at a local shop and highlight to the rest of District 4 constituents some of our local businesses and what they could do in the area.
Okay, well, thank you. And I saw you had a very long list of committees and activities you're part of there. I caught a few: Economic and Infrastructure, PCRC Transportation Committee, or PSRC, sorry. We have lots of things to talk about, so that'll be great. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, next on our agenda is public comments. We are now in the public comments part of the agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments to the City Council about any items not appearing on the agenda or on the consent agenda. I am not seeing anyone in the council chambers. Unless, Sabrina, would you like to make some public notes? Is there anybody online?
I don't have anyone online, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, well, that concludes public comment. Thank you. Consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as distributed.
I'll
Second.
it.
Okay, first and second. Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. We are now in our city manager and council comments and reports.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. One item, which is a follow-up to the council retreat here in this room, where we spoke a lot about the 30th birthday celebration, now called the 30th birthday bash, if you will. And we, as I think I reported to you last week, and Marion, the word out, that we have settled in on a date. This will be a one-day event on Saturday, August 23rd. Our plan is to bring back an event plan on how this is going to unfold and the various activities to you as a report to council in April here in a council meeting, a regular council meeting. So we look forward to presenting that. Marion, our events director, and her team have been hard at work since the retreat, and I speak to her daily, and I think it's going to be an exciting event, but there was no time to be wasted, so we secured the date, and we appreciate your help in that. I think we have all 7 council members available for that date, so that's fantastic. Thank you. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. All right, so council comments and reports. Today I will just start, we'll go left to right from my left. So Councilmember Boykin, if you'd like to go first.
Absolutely, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you so much. I had a really good opportunity to attend a council retreat. I thought that was fantastic in a number of different ways, but the thing that I thought was most impactful was having an opportunity for a first-hand conversation with County Executive Mello. It was good to get first-hand exchange with staff so that we could really begin to anchor the things that we care most about as a council, as well as really beginning to signal some things that County Council could help us understand from an executive leadership level. Also got an opportunity, obviously, to get into the things that we care about for the 25-26 goals for the city in terms of positioning the city well for continued success. I attended the Horizon Economic Forecast. It's an annual opportunity for the Tacoma Pierce County Chamber. It's always a good opportunity to see, first of all, what is a national projection of our economy. That came by way of, I believe the gentleman's name is Angelo Kirkofis, CFA out of St. Louis. That was really good to hear how he anticipated what our economy should look like or could look like for 2025. We got the continued local interpretation by Dr. Neil Johnson, who helped underscore really our interpretation of what we could expect from the Pierce County Economic Index, PCEI, looking for about a 2%, probably likely growth for 25, essentially 25. And then when we looked at specifically 2024 quarter four to 2025 quarter four, it's a little less than that, about 1.6%. So get ready is what's the caution that had been exercised there. And then for fun, got an opportunity to participate at the Milgard School of Business, University of Washington. This was Tacoma campus case studies. Got to be a judge for students that are looking to compete for really impressiveness for how they interpret data, how they look at presenting that case, and then looking to see if they can ultimately represent UW in the international competition. So it's the first leg of that. There were 4 teams, and it was all really driven by the corporate leadership and social responsibility committees within UW, which I also get an opportunity to be one of its board members. So just really good stuff. I thought it was fun. It may not have been as fun for the students, but they really did an outstanding job. And hats off to Jamie Core in particular, who was creating the space, holding the space, and helping those students become as good as they could when they presented themselves in case study fashion. So that's all I have, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm not going to do a synopsis of that wonderful job that Councilmember Boykin did of our council retreat. There's a lot of good takeaways there, a good piece of information, and also a relationship building with our new county executive and some of his team, especially these Pierce County Sewer and recreational services that were represented there. All things that are dovetailing into our council goals for 2025, 2026. I met with a few citizens in regards to arts in our community and events planning and gleaning some of their ideas and gathering some grassroots support for sustainability of arts in our community so that it is more, we lead a hand up and they drive the train wherever it goes organically, and we support that endeavor. In the meantime, I know we're talking about a legislative proposal for an arts commission, but in lieu of that. So I think there's some rumbling on the grassroots level and some great ideas percolating that possibly we could partner in and support. But anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Let's see, like others, I've enjoyed the retreat, and I think we made some good progress there, and always have a good chance to check in. And yes, it was quite worthwhile talking to County Executive Mello and getting his thoughts, and then also some of the lead staff on issues that are important to our community and our infrastructure build out and such. I also participated with Councilmember Fleming and Councilmember McCluskey, along with city staff, in a private stormwater facilities committee, something of that nature, in any case. And our first meeting, you may remember, we the council established that committee, and we have our first meeting underway. Have a few things for staff to respond to, and shared some perspectives, views, clarified some facts that I think when they get back to council, will be most helpful as well. Those are some things underway, and already looking forward to continuing on with the new year. So.
All right. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm just for the sake of time, I won't belabor comments from Councilmember Boykin. I think he gave a great summary of the retreat. Same comments for County Exec Mello. I really appreciated his presence. I appreciated his commitment to partnership and problem solving some of the issues that affect both the county as well as the city of University Place. So looking forward to more dialogue there. And yes, we had a great committee. I thought we had a great committee meeting, a good start on the sewers. Or not, well, I guess it is sewer. One of the issues here facing University Place, we're going to try to problem solve that one and look forward to further communications on that. So that's all I have tonight. I'll be brief. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Like my colleagues, I'd like to echo the sentiments of the retreat. I was able to participate virtually due to illness, so thank you to our city team to make that possible, but excited about where we're going in the next couple of years. So thank you to the team that made that so effective, and so thank you so much. I'd also like to just say a personal thank you to our dedicated Public Works team. Got a chance to visit with them this afternoon, drop off some donuts, and just thank them for their extra hours. They are working hard to keep our roads safe and our community able to be on track in these cold winter months. So thank you, Jack. Thank you to your team. I know everyone's putting in extra effort, and like we've said before, there is a difference when you cross over from University Place into other cities. So I am a chicken when I am driving in this weather, so I appreciate all of the time, the dedication, and our roads are excellent in this weather. So thank you to our Public Works team. And also I wanted to thank the citizens that participated in Congresswoman Strickland's Valentines for first responders and veterans. Today I had the opportunity of visiting Lakewood City Hall and dropped off over 100 Valentines that were written from University Place residents that are being sent with her program to active service members and first responders for Valentine's Day. So happy to partner with her on that, but thank you for our residents that sent some love to them, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And my comments again, I will just say thank you to our new county executive, Ryan Mello, for showing up and participating and really interacting with us. I really appreciated it. And Councilmember Grassi took my comments on roads because I was just going to say they're looking good, but she said it so much better than I did. Because they are working hard out there. And you're about to hear me talk a lot in the study session, so I'll conclude my comments here. And that concludes our city manager and council comments and reports. And now we are in our study session portion of our meeting. So if you could put up a presentation. So today we have a legislative proposal by myself and Councilmember McCluskey to study, or ask the city staff to study, a Arts Advisory Commission, or setting one up for the city of University Place. And so we have put together a short presentation, and we're going to split the discussion. First, on our first slide here, I just wanted to highlight the quote there. Arts and culture will make a city fall in love with itself. And that comes from the Poet Laureate of Toronto. I will butcher his name if I try and say it, but I will anyway. So Pier Giorgio di Chico, I'll say. And trying to advance this, let me turn it on. Seem to be having an issue. Thank you. Much appreciated. So we go to our next slide, which is the agenda. And you also have the slides in your packet. And so you have in your packet a copy of the original legislative proposal. When we get to the agenda, Councilman McCluskey is going to talk about art in University Place and the possibilities that we could look at, because she is much more tied in with Up for Arts than I am. I will talk about the legislative history and touch on just some adjacent community programs. And then Councilmember McCluskey will talk economic benefits, and then I will go through the actual proposal for that for study. Okay. And as soon as we can advance. Okay, that's the agenda. The next slide, please. Councilmember McCluskey.
All right, thank you. So Art in University Place, when the city first became incorporated, immediately there was an interest in creating a sense of place and a sense of place not only of belonging, but also to bring joy and smiles to people, to bring a beautification and an appreciation of things other than, the hard infrastructure surfaces, getting something fun and engaging like we have in our atrium with the land, sea, and sky sculpture. There was a group of citizens, including the head librarian at the time, that engaged, and also one of our new council members, Debbie Klosowski, got involved, and at the same time on the council there was a discussion to form an art commission. The citizen grassroots group Up for Art formalized so quickly that the council decided that they were not going to form an art commission, but to allow Up for Art to take the lead role in art placement, what that concept was going to look like, and also drive arts and culture in our community as well. So from the inception until today, Up for Art is alive. Sometimes it's on life support, but it's there. But in the very beginning, it was a viable, enthusiastic, passionate group that engaged not only our community, but regionally as well, to pull together different artists to demonstrate their different art and media forms. They were promoted not only within the city spaces, but they also went out into the open spaces. And so there was art events and contests. They also went into the city and discovered different art that we already had before incorporation and made a listing and a catalog of those, and even encouraged the businesses who owned these pieces of art, who by and far probably didn't realize that they owned a significant piece of art, like on the corner of 40th and Bridgeport, where the Bank of America sits now. And so they encouraged the business to put money into it, clean it up, and appreciate what we have there. And as the group formalized, they got all these wonderful ideas. So they decided that the roundabout over here on 40th Street, and decided that they needed an eagle and an egg in a nest. And so we bring that landscape to life. We needed to commemorate the hobby farm at the Curran Apple Orchard, and they decided that Brewster the horse would be the best sculpture and icon to do that. Brewster initially had an apple, but the apple unfortunately got sawed off. So now, time to time, you see a real apple in the little girl's hand. And it's a beautiful sculpture, and it took many, many years and months and money to do it, as did our duck, to commemorate Terry Ream and the beginning of Duck Days, the iconic parade that we celebrate every summer on the first Saturday of June. And the duck sort of had an evolution, and so our cities, everyone has, I guess, a mascot, and I guess ours would be the duck. Just by natural grassroots evolution, we became a pretty ducky city. And so that took a life of its own, and so we have that commemorated in the heart of our city to also inspire not only our mascot, but also our city's history. With that, which also inspired the University Place Historical Society, dovetailing with the UP for Arts, to start saving the home of the Currans at the current apple orchard, and for that to become a city museum so that we can archive our history and also display it, and also as an educational facility for people who would like to know about University Place and its roots and how it evolved as a city named University Place without a university. So all of that coming to fruition to this point in time, when the Up for Arts group was going to dissolve. But it was on life support, and a group of 5 people decided they were going to come together and form a new board to create more life, because art is that important in placemaking and other factors that we'll talk about in our next upcoming slides, of how art is important and is essential component in every city if it's to call itself a city of the community and its people.
Okay, thank you. Could we go to our next slide? This is just a couple of possibilities, not from the city of University Place, but just things that were pulled up. You can see there's murals, wall art, sculpture. Can we go next slide?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you move back to
Okay, go back one slide. Sure.
Because the next 2 slides are photographs that I had taken at the Tampa airport that believes that art is essential in decompressing travelers. And they had an art contest to do something significant in it's a large area of the Tampa Bay airport where the Flamingo is. And they wanted to do something that is fun, joyful, interactive. And this one artist came up with the idea of the flamingo. When you look at the flamingo, you're looking from the flamingo from the bottom of the lake bed on up. So the ceiling is the surface of the lake water. And so what you see with the flamingo is the underwater portion of the flamingo. And while I was there, this was a photo opportunity for many of the tourists, create smiles and joys. Kids were trying to climb the beak and the legs. And it's that sort of thing that is very inspirational. And so when somebody happenstance comes onto a piece of art, it brings joy. It significantly does a mental shift, an emotional shift for something positive and not mundane. So you come to the art piece of art, your mundane world, right? You know, your routine, and then all of a sudden, boom, you run into a piece of art, and then your whole dynamic changes, hopefully for the positive. So I know that's a long story, but the next slide is something that really gravitated to me, because art doesn't have to be thousands and thousands of dollars. Art can be something simple, and what this particular artist did, got an old school manual typewriter and had a offering to the community as to what was their first thoughts of Tampa Bay when they arrived. So tourists coming in, people migrating into the city to make it their home, and she incorporated photographs along the way. And just to read each of these stories really made a really heartfelt connection of how somebody would come to a city and try to get roots and try to feel their way around and to create a home for them, or tourists to come into the city and just want to know a little bit about the city. What are they going to experience and explore? And so you walk away from that particular art project in a very human, compassionate way, very, very thoughtful, and you reflect on how you came to Tampa Bay as well, or how you would come to a new community and how you would, some of the things you would be faced. So art changes people in big and little ways, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
All right, next slide. So one other possibility just to talk about was chalk art. Art not only doesn't have to be expensive, it can also be temporary. We don't always have to have the lovely bronze sculpture. And so just chalk art is just one thing that, makes places a little bit more fun. All right, next slide. So legislative history. I'll go over this real quick because when I was first coming up with the idea of doing an arts commission or an arts advisory commission, sure enough, I was informed relatively early on in the process, this is not the first time the city has looked at this. And so we were able to pull up some of the previous resolutions. The first one was Resolution 332, which was passed in 2002, which adopted an art policy and authorized the city manager to establish procedures to implement the policy. And the policy focused on the approval process for the acquisition of art, such as statues, paintings, photographs, etc. Next slide, please. Then there was two resolutions passed back-to-back in 2006. Resolution 545 created a partnership for public art between the City of UP and Up for Art, and authorized Up for Art to administer the University Place Public Art Plan, which was Resolution 546, which established the University Place Public Art Plan. It gave a public art vision and goals, a program framework which included some priorities, responsibilities, funding strategies, etc., a 3-year action plan through 2010. We are a bit beyond that now. And it also provided an inventory of existing art, which I thought was actually especially valuable. And that's really the extent of our legislative history up until we start talking about it today. So adjacent communities that have Arts Commission, and I put them in here with what they call them. You have Arts Commission in Pierce County, Tacoma, and Lakewood, and Auburn. In Puyallup, they have an Arts and Culture Commission. Gig Harbor, back to an Arts Commission. Buckley, a Citizen Advisory Commission, which includes art responsibilities. And then Fife, a Public Arts Commission, and that's just in Pierce County. There's a whole bunch of cities, our size, smaller, bigger, that have art commissions, and honestly, their focus varies wildly between each city, though there's some really good ideas you can find in all of them. And then, if we go to our next slide, Councilmember McCluskey, if you could talk about this again.
All right, thank you. Well, as you can see from the slide, you can read for yourself some of those bullet points. And as you read, I'm going to talk about some other things besides what's on this slide. Arts can have many economic benefits for a city, including job creation. The arts create jobs in the art industry as well as in related industry like hospitality, transportation, and retail. It creates tax revenue and can help fund city budgets. Tourism, of course, it can attract visitors just to see that particular art project, and boost local economies because once you attract foot traffic, they might get hungry or they might want to find something interesting to do. Community development. The arts can help revitalize neighborhoods, which can improve quality of life and attract new residents, innovation through that. So people will be encouraged not to move out, but to renovate. Infrastructure. Public art can attract pedestrians and bicyclists, which can make communities safer and more vibrant. So the more people you have around in some of our areas, the safer people feel. Makes sense. Education. The arts can help people perform better academically and socially and understand their roots through storytelling. Health. Art therapy programs can provide effective health care services as well as spontaneous art in our community can also create a sense of well-being and mental health. Community, as well as a stress relief.
We go to the next slide, by the way. She's talking some of those.
Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I was just reading.
All right. Community pride. The arts can create a sense of community pride. For example, in Elko, Nevada, which is known for its gold, today that's one of the first commodities is gold in Elko. It has its town of 20,000 population. It decided that there were some cowboys in town that recited poetry, and they thought that was interesting, so they established an annual for the last 40 years of a cowboy poetry gathering to align with Mayor Pro Tem's Poet Laureate idea. And so it's optimized open mics, jams, activities, culture, history, education. And so that adds $6 million annually to the economy in 1 week. So something to think about. Art and entertainment industry, $1.02 trillion industry, according to Forbes in 2023. Art provides more to the America's GDP than construction or agriculture. For every dollar spent in art and nonprofits, it typically generates $6 in tax revenue, according to the National League of Cities. I went to a breakout session at the National League of Cities, and there are a lot of federal as well as our Washington state grants available to support local arts in the city. I have a t-shirt that commemorates that, and it does have their organizational and email code on it for me, in case we're so inclined to go after those grants through that organization. Art thrives everywhere. Art therapy for PTSD and TBI, social stress relief for everyday people that just want a break and take a breath of fresh air can do art. We do have trickles of that going on 27th Street. There's a art paint and sips and art party business there. I can't remember the name of that. And also a community connection place every Thursday. There's art from 10 to 11 o'clock, or sometimes they go on until 1, because they get so entrenched in their art design. So the appreciation also goes into the diversity of what collectively all these people bring to art and their ideas, and appreciating that their ideas and just where they came from, which establishes a vibrant as well as an engaged community. Citizens become more interested and invested in their cities through art. They stop, they ponder, they think, they want to do. And of course, art in the community is an economic force multiplier. You can augment and generate the city's amenities. That not only creates an attractive community environment, but attracts, and not only attracts, but we gain an understanding of that city's lifestyle through the sense of belonging, through these experiences, through art, whether it's a passive experience or an active experience. And that is a statement from the American for the Arts Center, Center for the Arts, Arts for Culture, and Health Alliance, a 1976-ish study in Los Angeles, California, that they have implemented that study throughout Los Angeles because of that, because art is such a vital component, and art is something that many people don't consider, especially for the economic drivers and what attracts businesses as well as future citizens, and encourages the future citizens to stay, because it creates that sense of grounding and community that we're trying to design on the city council and make it a viable, livable city for all.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. So our last part is just to talk about the actual proposal itself. And so the proposal directs the city manager and staff to research the community, financial, and staff impacts of establishing an Arts Advisory Commission and provide a report back to council by the 1st of September of this year. So to be clear, this legislative proposal does not establish an Arts Advisory Commission. It is asking the staff to study doing an Arts Advisory Commission. because while we've been sitting here talking about how wonderful art is, there are, of course, going to be costs, at least in time, and other possible impacts to the city, and it would be wise that we fully understand them before we advance this idea of an arts commission. So with that, though, again, it's really hard to study, just say study an arts commission, because, again, if you go out there and look at arts commissions around the country or even just in the county, they're very different what their goals and objectives are. So what we placed in here is some potential goals of an arts advisory commission. Can we go to the next slide, please? And the type's a little small, but it's, again, in your packet, of things that they could look at to see if we would like to include them as part of the direction to a commission. First is finding ways to recognize UP artists, and specifically we're looking at artist laureates and visual, written, and performing arts, and possibly other types of art as well. But just it'd be great if we could annually or biannually recognize local artists and give them the honor of being a laureate for the city. Second one is provide ideas and advice on ways to incorporate temporary or permanent art displays or performances in public spaces, including parks, streetscapes, and buildings. So this is one thing I've seen walking through Parks Tacoma, now in some of the parks that they have there, is that they have poetry in the park. And at random times of the year, I'm sure there's a plan behind it, but it's random to me because when I show up there, you'll walk through and there'll be little poems on signs just placed throughout the park. And they stay there for a month or two, and then they get pulled up and go away. It's a great visual add, and also just when somebody's walking through the park, it makes them stop, reflect on the poem, and just enjoy their environment just a little bit more. So that would be one possibility. Third one here, advise on the acquisition and placement of art in new construction of public buildings. So if we build new public buildings, the commission would advise on what kind of art or what type of art we would place in such a building. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, that there is a state requirement in public structure that you have to add a certain percentage of it towards public art. If you could help me out on that one.
I'd have to look. I know that there's some requirement, particularly like WashDOT projects, that you have to commit a certain percentage of funds towards art. I thought it was 1 to 3%, and that's why you see like some of the stamped art, like on the Sound retaining walls, along I-5 and the lake.
Right. Did you have something to add to that, Councilmember Flynn?
I was going to say, yeah, the state does have that requirement, as our city attorney advises. It's 3%.
Got it. Thank you. So that was one of the objectives of this. They would also, in accordance with our original plan, item number 4 here, review the suitability of artworks intended as gifts to the city. If somebody wants to provide us a gift of art, they would do an initial review of the suitability of it. And there would be a list of criteria, probably would take it straight from our plan from back in 2002. To encourage donations and grants to the city for civic art purposes, and to advise the city regarding the receipt of such donations and grants. This is, again, where I really want the city staff to study this, because this starts getting into financial matters. But how would that work legally? The reality of it is right now we don't have a budget line item for art, and I don't anticipate that changing too much anytime soon. But for finding a way to partner with people who might be interested in supporting arts with the city could be very value added. And then finally, partner with existing commissions such as the Planning Commission and the Park Advisory Commission, again, to incorporate art in public spaces. So if I go to the next slide, specifically, we'd be interested in using those criteria just listed as a basis to start from. Doesn't mean they're restricted to it, but a basis to start from. Look at the physical impact of setting up a commission. Now, of this particular proposal, the physical impact of conducting this study, I anticipate being very minimal, consisting staff time only. And then the desired outcome of this study is a thorough study that identifies the benefits and costs of establishing an arts advisory commission with the stated goals. And finally, one more slide. Because this was an evolving thing. After this, we submitted the legislative proposal. Some more brilliant ideas came forward. One is consider adding the culinary arts to the list of art forms that are recognized along with visual, written, and performing arts, which I think would be a great idea. We do happen to know a cake decorator somewhere here on the council. And also consider changing the name instead of being just the Arts Advisory Commission, but the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission, and include a goal of partnering with the UP Historical Society and other organizations to recognize local history and culture. So these are ideas that were offered as well. So with that, go to our last slide. Denise found this quote from Pablo Picasso that says, "Art washes away the dust of everyday living." And now we are open for questions. And if you have any, please let me know. Or comments. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Great presentation. Thank you very much. I thought it was quite informative and comprehensive, so you hit everything. I have a question, though, for our city attorney, and that was, you know, when you were doing the search on the historical background for this, I thought somewhere in the dust of all those city ordinances, we had at one point had a proposal of new business construction of either requiring or encouraging the incorporation of art into the building. Did you find anything?
That's one of those things that's kind of rattling around. That's not to say the council back then didn't do it. It's not something I can immediately put my thumb on and say that they did do it. Mm-hmm. If you were to go back, oh, I know we took the PowerPoint down. If you go back to the older legislation, there was the resolution, I believe 332, and then the couple that were done back in 2006. The 332 resolution contemplating an original plan was fairly extensive, and it stopped just short of calling out for an arts commission, but it was more sort of the way I look at it, it's kind of a blueprint. What do we want to do as we move further out into the arts components? There were elements of that policy that I would argue have been probably assumed within other legislation that council has done since that was done back in 20 years ago. So it might be worthwhile just kind of dusting it off. But if that's something that council is interested in pursuing, this would probably be a good point to point that out as we kind of build out what that would look like. Mm-hmm. Assuming that council is interested in this idea, and I think I'm reading council saying they're interested in this idea. Mm-hmm. What that would look like as we go forward into 1 September.
Okay, thank you. I'd be very interested in learning more about that.
Yeah.
Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate the chance to comment. Well, and thank you for a very good presentation. Certainly covered a lot of good ground, and art is clearly a worthwhile item for communities to pursue when other priorities or base level priorities are taken care of, which I consider us to be, just about there. And I think it's a hallmark of a more mature organization. There's, I think, some very good ideas there, things that I would be supportive in investigating. And who knows what the outcome's going to be. Withhold any support of something I don't know what it is yet, but I think it's worth some of the city's staff and energy. There's the 3% issue with state funds. I think cities have the ability to commit a certain amount of budget from capital programs into art. We have some sort of legislative ability. But I also know a story or three that has to be done carefully. And Spokane is the one that comes to mind because Spokane which is a charter city, so in their rewrite of charter somewhere in I think it was the 60s, doesn't really matter when, they said now from here on out 1% or 2% of all our construction funds are going to go into art. Well, in the big picture view, that was a good thing. The thing they didn't quite consider was that the way it was written, it also included all utility construction. It also included enterprise funds. And it basically took all of those, all the utility vaults, the park construction, all of that needed to have a component of art. Fair enough. But federal government doesn't match art funds. And the outcome was you needed to pull it out of the general fund. So while they were doing this good thing, they essentially were pulling it out of the general fund. And what's more, they had to stop accepting some federal grants and some other grants because the general fund couldn't afford the 1 or 2%. And so I just want to say there's examples out there we need to think about just so we want the right thing. If we do the right thing, want to do something about this. We've kind of worked our way through the unintended, best intentions but unintended consequences. And Spokane has an interesting story, and they're not alone. There's other jurisdictions too. Sometimes we might be as well off just to say it'll be the general fund, and when we can afford it, we'll do it. But that's a downstream question, and not really for today. I just want to, what's on my mind, put it on, make us aware of it. All in all, though, great thing. I'd certainly be interested in hearing more. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I would echo the sentiment of Councilmember Worthington, and absolutely looking to do a good work and avoid as much as we can unintended consequences. To that extent, I was just somewhat concerned about how we might go about studying it. I really believe that is the first step, and again, Councilman Worthington's comments sort of underscore that. But if it's just requiring staff time to do the study, I'm just wondering how let me say this carefully, as excited as I am about the wonderful work that our staff does for the things that we already have anticipated return on those investments, are to have them look at this as just an opportunity. I'm wondering, will we get that more robust, comprehensive opinion that we need to sort of avoid unintended consequences? And I'm also concerned about some creativity opportunities that might involve our youth, those types of things that might be more intentional when you look at how we want to ensure that the quality of the study goes forward. So I hope that was a way to say it without trying to compromise our wonderful staff or suggested it might be a less than desirable outcome. But I really want to be sure that it is intensively approached, because I too think that one sophistication about a city is how it holds space for its arts. And I think it's a wonderful pathway to continue to offer ways in which University Place continues to be that city of destination for folks intentionally who choose to live, work, and play here. So,
all right, thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Gracia.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I echo the sentiments of wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And since we're saying quotes, one of my favorite quotes is from Aristotle that he said, "Art is that which touches on the universal human experience." And I firmly echo those sentiments and believe that. So I definitely would be in favor of staff coming back with more and interested. I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but I would, similarly to what Councilmember Boykin said, would love to see the option of potentially always having a spot on this commission for a youth 18 years old or under, to make sure that we're really, increasing that reach out to our younger community, and I think the Arts Commission would be a great way to include them. I love the idea of Arts and Culture Commission and expanding that. I think that's a smart option, but I see so many possibilities partnering with our citizens, our Garden Society too, and people really being able to rally around this. So wonderful presentation. I'm excited to learn more, and thank you for your efforts and your time, but I'm definitely excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any more comments, Councilmember McCluskey?
No, I'm good.
All right. So let me ask a couple questions here. The first does, do we need more study on this for this legislative proposal? Not for an Arts Commission, but just for this proposal. Go ahead, Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you. I don't think we need any more study. I think we had a really good presentation tonight. I think what I hear council members asking for is let the staff do their homework, if you will, and come back with what they've learned. And this may be several steps to get to a final process, but at least get the ball rolling on it.
Okay, so can I get head nods if that's where we want to go with this? Okay, so let me ask the question of our city lawyer. Is this something we need to put on consent agenda for our next meeting, or can we just
I think by council's head nod at this point, we can readily agendize this unless a member of the council wants legislation saying come bring back by September 1st and we put it on the consent agenda for that first meeting in March. I think the message otherwise has been delivered, bring it back on 1 September or thereabouts.
Or whenever you got it.
What's that?
Or whenever you got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so at that point, we'll conclude this. We don't need to do any more action on it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all listening to this proposal. And oh, by the way, to address Councilmember Boykin and Councilmember Grassi, one of the cities I looked at had with their laureates, also had youth laureates instead of just say both adult and youth. So that would be an interesting thing to look at as well. But that's just any details. So that concludes the study session. And with that, I'd like to remind everyone that in our consent agenda, we said that we canceled the meeting for the 18th. So we'll see you again in March. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
One detail.